Hi there, this is Anil Puri. What I'm going to share with you today is a formula that's been around for a long time. It's not new, but some people say that it's the most powerful way to grow the profits in your business. Stay tuned. Okay, as you know, the main focus that I have with my clients is to help them to grow their profitability and cash flow. Now, the formula I'm going to share with you isn't the only way to do that, but it is a very foundational part of the whole picture. All right, so I'm going to draw it up on the whiteboard and I'll take you through it, and I think you'll be amazed at how powerful this formula can be. Okay, so this is the formula. All right, I'll take you through it. It looks like a lot of numbers on here, but there's only really 5 areas that you need to focus on to grow your profits. Right, so the first is number of leads. All right, and what I've done is I've put an example, a base case, and I'll show you how this formula works, and then I'll explain how for example, increasing each of these areas by 10%, what sort of impact that has on your business. So the 5 areas are number of leads. All right, in this example, there are 4,000 leads every year, for example. The second is conversion rate. So how many or what percentage of those leads are converted to customers, right? In this case, it's 25%. And what that does is it gives us 1,000 customers. Then we look at the number of transactions each year. So in this case, these customers come back twice every year. The fourth area is average dollar sale. So the average that they spend each time that they come and transact with your business, right? So in this case, it's $100. So what that gives us is, if we calculate that out, multiply that out, it gives us the revenue. So it's 1,000 customers times 2 transactions a year times $100 each transaction gives us revenue of $200,000 for the year. Okay. Then what we do is we look at our margins. Okay. So in this case, it's 25%, and that includes all of your. You've probably seen some videos from me before. So that'll include all of your cost of sales, all of your overhead expenses and everything else to get to your bottom net profit margin. And in this case, if you multiply those two together, you get $50,000 profit, all right? So the reason I have these 3 areas in red is because normally most people want to focus on getting more customers, increasing their revenue and increasing their profitability, all right? But they're actually the results of these other 5 areas, all right? So it's really key to, instead of just focusing on more customers, more revenue, more profit, understanding what are the components that contribute to those increases. So it's really about these 5 areas. So we need to focus on generating more leads, increasing the conversion rate. So that's how we sell and how we convert those leads into customers, getting them to come back more often, getting them to spend more, and improving our profit margins. All right. So what I'll do is I'll explain now how that flows through by just tweaking each of these areas by a small amount. Okay, so what I've done is I've increased each of these 5 areas by 10% each. All right, so I'll take you through what the impact of that has been. So 10% is not a major increase. We can look at tweaking each of these 5 areas. There's tons of strategies, and I'm happy to share those with you on how we can increase each of these areas. But in this quick example, if we increase number of leads by 10%, we get 4,400. If we increase our conversion rate or improve our conversion rate by 10%, that takes it from 25% to 27.5%. Okay, so 10% of 25% is 2.5%. Okay, so that's why we get 27.5. That then multiplies out to give us 1,210 customers instead of 1,000. If we increase our number of transactions by 10%, that's 2.2. Same with average dollar sale. If we increase that from 100, if we increase that by 10%, that gives us $110. Now, if we multiply the number of customers by, this is the average number of times people come back. So some people will come back twice a year, some people might come back 3 times a year, but on average, it's 2.2 times a year. Okay. So if we multiply that out, that actually gives us revenue of $292,820. Now, if we do the same for margins, if we increase our margins by 10%, so from 25% to 27.5%, it actually results in a profit of $80,525. Right? So those small increases of 10% in each of those areas, what that leads to is a 46% increase in your revenue or your sales, and a massive 61% increase in your profit. Okay, So there's obviously marketing that we can do to increase our leads. We can look at our sales process. We can look at conversion tools. We can look at training for our sales team, putting in place testimonials. There's a whole range of things we can do to help improve the way we convert our leads to customers. Number of transactions. Now we can get people to come back by putting them on a database and sending them information, doing open days, doing all sorts of, if we've got a cafe, changing the menu around. So there's tons and tons of ways that we can do, we can tweak and introduce to improve our number of transactions. Average dollar sales. So how do we get people to spend more? We could be increasing our prices. We could package things together. We could do the classic McDonald's now. Would you like fries with that? And if it's not a retail environment, it could be a plumber, it could be a tradesperson. So when you go out there, you might have a checklist of things to check when you go and visit them to check for their, or to fix their leaking pipe. There could be other things that you could do as a quick review of their house to uncover other areas that they need help with. Okay, so there's lots and lots of different ways. Margins, how do we improve the profitability of the business in terms of margins? It could be staff productivity, it could be cutting down wastage, it could be shopping around for better suppliers, reviewing your insurances. There's tons of areas that you can do to tweak each of these areas. Okay, so as you can see, by looking at these 5 areas and looking at improvements in each of those, it's amazing what sort of impact and improvement you can get to your bottom line. All right. So now, just for fun, what I'm going to do in this last column is show you what the impact will be if we increase each of these 5 areas by 100% over time. Okay, now here is the last column with an 100% increase from the base case. Now, I'm not expecting this to happen in even in a quarter or even 12 months. This could take 5-10 years, but let's just think about what's possible. So if we increase this, the current case, by 100%, so basically doubling all of these 5 numbers, we get 8,000 leads a year. We convert 50% of those into customers because we've got a fantastic sales process and tools to use. That gives us 4,000 customers each year. Now, if each of them comes back 4 times instead of 2 times, and they spend $200 each time instead of $100, and you can check my maths on this, but that ends up giving us revenue or sales of $3.2 million per year compared to where we're starting from, this 200,000. Now, what I've done is I haven't doubled margins because it can be very difficult to double your margins, but what I've, just for comparison, I've increased margins by 5%, or from 25% to 30%, which I think is reasonable. And what that multiplies down to is profit of $960,000 for the year compared to $50,000 where we're starting. All right. Now, these are all sample numbers. Your profit margin might be 10%. You might want to increase it to 15%. Whatever your numbers are, it's about looking at these 5 areas and working out how can you, introduce strategies to improve each one. All right. So I'm sure you found that amazingly powerful. Let me know if you'd like. I've got a checklist of all of the different strategies that I've used with customers over the last 12 years that I've been working and helping businesses. So let me know if you want a copy of that. Just email me or shoot me a note, and I'll get that across to you. All the best, and we'll speak soon.